On, everyone. Frank Vogel is officially gone as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, the writing was on the wall. Many of us knew that this was coming. Now, Frank Vogel wasn't the sole responsible for the disaster of the Lakers season. I do think that he does deserve a lot of credit in that department as far as like a failure of this team. I mean, he didn't put the roster together. Yes, I understand that, but he still decided to make the rotations, add no consistency, things like that. We were missing LeBron, we were missing Davis for chunks of the season, but that's to be expected. Even then, there was no real adjustments. For a defensive-minded coach, you could not get this team to buy in defensively. He was very resistant and pushing against his players, things like that. So they need a stronger voice in the locker room, clearly. Changes need to be made, and unfortunately, the head coach is always the first to go. Whether you think that he should have stayed or not is neither here nor there. That's just how it works. You get rid of the coach is a scapegoat, get a new coach in and hope it works. Now, as far as what's next, right? The idea for the Lakers, according to Rob Pelinka, is to have a new coach lined up before the NBA draft. And names that are being thrown out currently are Nick Nurse, who is the coach of the Toronto Raptors. He's won Coach of the Year. He's been a fantastic coach. But again, a coach under contract with the Toronto Raptors. So it's like, would he leave that situation? He's in a good situation. He's got a nice young group. They're in the playoffs, things like that. Possibly. I mean, it's the Lakers. Many coaches would love the opportunity to be a coach of the Lakers, especially if you could win a championship. I mean, you're forever put on a statue, put on a pedestal as far as like coaches in the league. Even Frank Vogel, however you feel about him, he still delivered a championship with the Lakers. So he is forever going to be tied to the Lakers, that organization, and winning basketball, which is the synopsis with the Lakers, right? But Nick Nurse, I wouldn't mind seeing him as a head coach for the Lakers. The problem is again, like, is he going to leave his situation? He's got a pretty good situation. The other one that people are throwing around is Quinn Snyder. Again, a coach under contract with the Utah Jazz. Now, I do think that he, even though is locked into his contract, he may be willing to leave. Just because who knows what's going to happen with Utah, especially if they are a first-round exit again. Donovan Mitchell, there's a lot of talks that he may just get fed up and leave. They might trade Gobert, whatever the case may be. Does he really want to hang around? The problem with Quinn Snyder is you essentially have the same roster. Yes, better slightly, but you still have that wing guy in LeBron James and your big man and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is light years better than Rudy. LeBron is better than Donovan Mitchell. So, yes, it's an upgraded version of Utah, but he hasn't been able to get Utah to the promised land in many ways. And it's just kind of, he's basically hit his peak with the team he has, which many people thought even last year that they had a good chance to win the championship. I mean, they were the 1 seed, they were great, but he just seemed to fall short. And it's one of those things, like, could he, like, maybe with LeBron and Davis could, because it's an upgrade, actually take them to the next level? I don't know. I mean, you won't really know until that happens. The other coach I didn't put on this list is Doc Rivers. I have videos on how I feel about Doc Rivers. I don't think that they should go get Doc Rivers. I mean, what has Doc done except for be the coach to lose the most 3-1 leads in playoff history? I mean, he's done it more than any other coach. The one championship he's won was with a team that I could have coached and they would have won a championship in the Boston Celtics with Rondo, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. Like, that team didn't need a coach. Like, Doc, and they only won one championship even though they were dominating the league for like 5 years. Like, still, like, that just shows the underutility that he has. The Clippers were arguably the best team on paper for years. They were running through the league at points and couldn't even get to the conference finals. Like, it's just, I'm not big on Doc Rivers. I know he's a fan favorite. I know he's a player coach, all of those things, but he hasn't done anything to go, hey, that's the guy that I want to come over and coach my team. Like, he has no problem being that guy to, like, call his players out, things like that. So maybe that's what we need. I'm not as sold highly on Doc Rivers as many others are. I think his name and reputation is bigger than what he's actually achieved and accomplished and actually been able to show. Ty Lue, I would have loved to have Ty Lue. He's not leaving the Clippers. Like, Ty Lue was the coach that I think, even this Lakers team, I think he would have been able to figure it out. I just think that Quinn Snyder is a sort of a mystery. He's a big question mark for me. Nick Nurse, I don't think he would leave Toronto. Like, why? You have an aging LeBron and Anthony Davis that's constantly hurt. You don't even know what your roster is going to be. If you can turn the Toronto Raptors into another contender, make them champions again, you can make an argument that would be more to his legacy than being the coach of the Lakers. The other thing is just LeBron. He's aging. He doesn't have a good track record with coaches. I saw a statistic. It was like 71% of his coaches have been fired. The only ones that have survived is Spo and Ty Lue. But Ty Lue, they got rid of him as soon as LeBron left. And then Spo, he's still there, but that was because of Pat Riley. Yeah, LeBron wanted him gone on several occasions. Pat Riley was like, no, this is my guy. Too bad. Deal with it. Pat Riley's the only one to really tell LeBron, no. Cool your jets there, dude. And so that's the problem. Any coach that comes in, they're going to have to deal with that. They're going to have to be able to bump heads with whoever they need to bump heads with, establish their system, establish what they need to establish. And I think that was a big problem with Vogel. I think he was a little too bit of a pushover. He was too easy to just kind of bully. There was tons of reports and things of the coaches don't respect him. He's a pushover in the locker room, all these things. You need somebody that's strong-headed, which Doc may be that guy. Maybe that is what they need. I just would rather explore other options first, in my opinion, as far as Doc goes. I think that, even the roster he has now, look what's happened. They were great when they first started. They won 3-4 straight games. That's because people were trying to figure it out. And there's no real adjustments. There's no nothing. He doesn't make the adjustments necessary. He's kind of just hey, you did this, you did. That's great, but you need to stop getting out coached. And I have seen so many crucial games where Doc Rivers just gets blatantly out coached. And that was the problem with Vogel. He was just constantly getting out coached by other teams. And so I'd rather see a coach that can make this minor adjustments, that's not afraid to, hey, LeBron, you're not passing the ball, give it up. Sit down, whatever the case may be. Hey, come sit down, come take a break. I know you're trying to go for the scoring title, but, we're trying to win the game here. Sit down. That kind of thing. I don't know. As always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Who was a coach that you would like to see to coach the Lakers and replace Frank Vogel? What did you think of the Frank Vogel firing? Do you think that he was just kind of used as a scapegoat? Again, I don't think he was the main issue, but he was definitely an issue. It used to drive me crazy, his lineups, his changes. Even in the beginning of the season, why in the world are you playing Rondo, LeBron, and Westbrook on the court at the same time? That should never happen. That's something that you do to experiment with when you're up 30. Not when you're down 10 and you're trying to come back. You have three guys that all do the same thing. None of them can really shoot. They all need the ball to be effective. It's just his lineups, he never had consistency. He was never making changes. He was never adapting. He was, for somebody that was so big on playing big for so many years, and we even won a championship playing big, he sure played a lot of small lineups this year. It's just, I don't know. And I do understand that we didn't have the roster. We didn't have a lot of things to succeed. Westbrook and Vogel were basically the scapegoats all season, although I don't think it's really solely just either of those things or both of them collectively. I think it's a combination of many things. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks.